My name is Emily. I grew up in a small town. I was 10 when I first saw him. His name was James. He had dark hair and kind eyes. He lived down the street. Our houses were close. Every afternoon, I walked home with him from school. We talked about many things. We talked about our favorite games. We talked about our dreams. He listened to me when I spoke. I felt safe when I was with him. He helped me when I fell. He laughed with me when I succeeded. He shared his lunch when I forgot mine. Over time I stopped thinking of him as a friend. I realized I had feelings beyond friendship. I felt warm when he smiled at me. I felt sad when he did not call me. One day, he took my hand. He said,
Emily, will you be my friend forever?
My heart jumped. I nodded. We promised each other. We said we would marry one day. That promise felt real. I kept the secret in my heart. Years passed. I finished college. I worked in the city. James built his own company. We grew together. We did not live in the small town anymore. We chose a date for our wedding. The hall was booked. The flowers were ordered. The music was ready. We were excited. Our parents smiled. Friends cheered. Everything looked perfect. I tried on my dress. It fit well. I looked at James. He smiled. I felt happy and safe. I believed nothing could break us. I thought everything would stay good. 2 days before the wedding, I got a call from my mother. Her voice was shaking. She said, my father lost his job. She said they could not pay the house loan. She said, men came to their door, asking for money. I felt the world stop. I packed my bag and went home. At home, I saw my parents crying. The bills were on the table. I wanted to help, but I could not fix it in one day. They told me not to tell James. My mother said,
You have your life now. Don't worry about us.
but I could not stop worrying. The day before the wedding, I came back to the city. I met James. He looked so happy. He talked about the ceremony. I smiled, but inside, I was shaking. I could not tell him what happened. I did not want him to feel pity. I did not want him to think my family was a problem. That night, I could not sleep. I walked around my room. I looked at the dress. I looked at the ring. I thought about my parents' faces. I thought about James's smile. I cried. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to ask for help. But I also wanted to protect him from my family's mess. I told myself, maybe I can handle it later. Maybe I can fix it after we marry. But another voice said, you will bring him pain. I sat on the floor until morning. The morning came. The sky was clear. My hands were cold. My friends came to help me dress. I looked at myself in the mirror and felt lost. My mother called again. She said,
Don't worry about us. Just be happy.
but her voice broke when she said it. I went to the hall. Music played. People smiled. James stood at the altar. He looked calm. He looked proud. I wanted to walk to him. I wanted to say I love you, but my legs felt weak. My heart was heavy. I thought about my parents. I thought about the house. I thought about the men who came to their door. I thought about the shame and the debt. I wanted to run to James, but I felt I would ruin his life. I turned away from the aisle. I walked out of the hall. No one followed me at first. I stepped into the street. My dress moved in the wind. I cried. I kept walking. I left everything behind. I moved to another city. I changed my name. I rented a small apartment. I found a job at a small company. It was not a big job, but it paid the bills. I worked hard every day. I kept quiet. I avoided questions about my past. I never told James where I was. I blocked his calls. I deleted his messages. I believed I had to suffer alone. I believed I had broken everything. I went to work, went home, and slept. My life was small. I saw people laughing. I saw couples walking together. I told myself I did not need that anymore. But every night, I thought of James. I thought of his face when I left. I wanted to forget, but I could not. My parents slowly got better. They sold the house and paid the debt. They told me to come home. But I could not. I was not ready. I still felt guilty. I still felt afraid. 5 years passed. I built a quiet life, but my heart stayed empty. One evening, my phone rang. It was my mother. Her voice was calm at first, but I felt something behind it.
Emily,
She said.
I heard about James.
My heart stopped. What about him? I asked. She took a breath.
He's getting married. The wedding is next week.
I didn't speak for a moment. I could hear my own heartbeat. Do you know her? I asked.
Her name is Sophia. They say she's kind.
My mother said. I thanked her and ended the call. I sat on the edge of my bed. The room felt smaller. The air felt heavy. I stared at the wall for a long time. My chest hurt. I told myself he deserved to be happy. He waited for me once, and I didn't come. Now, it was his turn to move on. That night, I couldn't sleep. I turned on the light. I sat at my desk. I looked at our old photo on my phone. I wanted to delete it, but I couldn't. I told myself not to go. I told myself to stay away. But something inside me moved. A small voice said, "You need to see him." The next morning, I packed a small bag. I bought a ticket. I went back to the city I once called home. A week before the wedding, I took the train back to the city. The ride felt long. I watched the fields pass by the window. I told myself I was not going there to stop anything. I only wanted to say goodbye. When I arrived, the air felt the same as before. The streets, the smell, the sound, all the same. My hands were shaking. I walked to his office. The receptionist looked at me. I said softly, "Can I see James Parker?" She asked my name. When I said it, her eyes widened a little. She nodded and made a call. James came out a few minutes later. He looked surprised, but calm. He said my name, quietly. We stood there for a second, without words. He asked,
Why are you here, Emily?
I took a breath. I needed to tell you something, before you marry, I said. I didn't come to stop it. I came to tell the truth. We sat in a small meeting room. I told him everything. How I learned about my parents 2 days before the wedding. How I panicked. How I didn't want him to carry my family's problem. I thought leaving was the only way, I said. I thought I was protecting you. But I only hurt you. I am sorry, James. He looked at me for a long time. His voice was low.
I waited for you for months. I tried to understand, but I couldn't.
I know, I said. You should be angry. You should hate me. But I hope you are happy now. He didn't answer. He just looked tired. Finally he said,
You should go. I have nothing to say.
I nodded. I wish you peace, I said. I stood up, smiled a little, and left the room. After I left his office, I felt empty. I told myself it was over. I had said what I needed to say. But every night, I still thought of him. I wondered what he was doing. I wondered what he was feeling. A few days later, I heard from an old friend. She said he looked different these days. He was quiet at work. He didn't smile much. People said he stayed late just staring at his desk. I tried not to think about it, but I couldn't stop. Sometimes, I imagined him at home, looking at the wedding suit. Maybe he was thinking of me. Maybe not. I didn't know. The night before his wedding, I couldn't sleep. I looked out my window, and thought about him again. I told myself, he would be happy. He deserved that. He deserved peace. The next morning, I got another call. It was the same friend. Her voice was shaking.
Emily, he didn't go through with it.
She said. I froze. What do you mean? I asked.
He stopped the wedding. He talked to Sophia before the ceremony. He said he couldn't marry her. He told her he still had feelings for you.
She said. I didn't know what to say. I sat down on the floor. My hands were cold. I felt both fear and something like relief.
He just walked out. No one stopped him. He looked calm, but sad.
My friend said. After the call, I sat there for a long time. The room was quiet. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. He had made his choice. It was not because I asked him. It was because he finally listened to his own heart. I looked out the window again. The sky was clear, the air soft. For the first time in years, I felt hope. The news spread fast in the small town. People talked. Some said he lost his mind. Some said it was love. I didn't know which was true. I stayed quiet. I went to work, as usual. I smiled when people talked to me. But inside, I was not calm. At night, I thought of him again. I wondered where he went after that day. Maybe he stayed home. Maybe he left the city. No one knew for sure. A week later, my mother called. She said she heard that James left his company for a while. He needed time. I said nothing. I only said, I hope he's okay. After the call, I sat by the window. The city lights looked softer that night. I kept thinking, maybe I had made him unhappy. Maybe it was my fault. He suffered all these years. I couldn't stop worrying. But at the same time, I felt a small hope. He had made a choice. Even if it was hard, he was being honest with himself. Maybe one day, we would be okay. In different ways, in different lives. One evening, I stopped by a small cafe near my office. It was the same place we used to go when we were younger. The chairs were new, but the smell was the same. Warm coffee. Quiet music. I had been coming here often lately. Maybe part of me still waited for him. Or maybe I just felt safe here. I ordered tea and sat by the window. The street outside was full of lights. People walked fast, laughing, holding hands. I looked at them and smiled. Then I saw someone across the street. A man, standing still. His hair was shorter. But his eyes, I knew them. He didn't move for a while. Then, he crossed the street. He came into the cafe. He looked around and saw me. We didn't speak right away. He walked slowly toward my table.
Hi.
He said softly. I said, "Hi." He smiled a little. We sat in silence. The sound of cups, the quiet music, everything felt still. He said,
I didn't know you still came here.
I said, "I've been coming here more often lately." He listened quietly. We sat in silence for a while. The music, the cups clinking, the soft chatter. It all felt normal. But inside, everything was not normal. I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Relief that we could be in the same room. Sadness that so much had happened between us. He looked at me and smiled slightly. Not a big smile. Not a perfect smile. But it was there. A small sign that maybe he felt something too. I didn't say anything more. I just watched him, and he watched me. No words were needed. We didn't fix the past. We didn't promise a future. But we were here together. And for now, that was enough. I felt grateful that we could see each other again. The world outside kept moving. The city lights shone through the window. I didn't know what would come next. But I knew I was glad he was here.